We have already discussed about the day before yesterday, we have discussed about the Rutherford model of an atom, in which Rutherford has said, on the basis of his observations, Rutherford gave us a structure of an atom which is known as Rutherford's model of an atom. He said that maximum space within the atom is empty, okay, within the center, which is very small space that is being occupied, what he called as nucleus. Okay, there is the centrally located nucleus, which is hard to penetrate. An atom consists of the positively charged nucleus, which is somehow centrally located. It's positively charged, and whole mass of atom is concentrated at this place only, in the nucleus only. That is why it is hard to penetrate. Then he said that the electrons, which are negatively charged particle, they are revolving around the nucleus in the circular orbits. This was the observation and the conclusions which was drawn by the Rutherford on the basis of his alpha particle scattering experiment. On the basis of the alpha particle scattering experiment, Rutherford was able to give us the structure of the atom, in which he said that there is centrally located nucleus which is positively charged, and whole mass of atom is concentrated in this center, and the electrons, which are negatively charged particle, they are revolving around the nucleus in the circular path. These circular paths he called as orbits. Okay, and then he said that there will be equal number of electrons and protons, so that they neutralize each other's impact, and overall charge present on an atom is neutral, right? But what was the limitation, or what was the drawback of Rutherford model was, according to classical electrodynamics or electrostatic theory of physics. According to electrostatic theory of physics, if a charged particle is revolving around if a charged particle is revolving on a circular orbit, it has to radiate some amount of energy. All right. What does it mean? That if because electron is a charged particle whose charge is negative, as per the classical electrodynamics or electrostatic theory of physics, if a charged particle is revolving around another charged particle in a circular orbit, it has to radiate some amount of energy. Once it radiates energy, ultimately it will left with the no energy, and the electron should fall into the nucleus. According to electromagnetic theory of physics or classical electrodynamics, if a charged particle is revolving around another charged particle in a circular orbit, and the motion is accelerated one, the charged particle has to radiate some amount of energy, has to lose some amount of energy, and on losing the energy, ultimately it should fall into the nucleus. But this does not happen. This does not happen. Why it does not happen? So this was that he was not able to give the answer to this question. He was not able to justify the electromagnetic theory of physics, in which it is said that if a charged particle is revolving on a circular orbit, it has to radiate some amount of energy. And why it will not fall into the nucleus, why atom is stable, he was not able to give the proper explanation. Then who explained? There was then another scientist who gave the theory, who gave the model of an atom. In his name was Bohr, Neil Bohr. As per his structure of atom, he said that the way Rutherford proposed the model of an atom, it's very much correct. The way Rutherford proposed the model of an atom is correct. There is no problem in that model. But pertaining to the stability, he said that electrons are revolving around the nucleus in the circular orbit, as this was proposed by Rutherford also. He said that it's okay, but they will not radiate the energy. Why? Because he called these orbits as discrete orbits. He said that when the charged particle is revolving around the nucleus in the discrete orbits, at that time, discrete orbits means special orbits, at that time they are not going to radiate any energy. Means when the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in these discrete orbits, they are not going to radiate energy. They are not going to lose the energy. But yes, when they will jump from one shell to another shell, when they will jump from one shell to another shell, only then at that time they will lose the energy. Means when they will jump from one level, one shell, one discrete orbit to another discrete orbit, they will lose the energy. But if they are revolving in the orbits, in the discrete orbits, these charged particles are not going to radiate any energy. In this manner, he was able to explain the stability of an atom. Bohr was able to explain the stability of an atom, right? So this was that why the electrons will not radiate the energy. The reason behind is that they are present in the discrete orbits, and when electrons are present in the discrete orbit, they will not radiate any energy. The rest, everything was quite same to that of the Rutherford model. He also said that atom has a positively charged centrally located nucleus, and most of the mass is present in the nucleus. Electrons are revolving in the discrete orbit, in the special orbits where they are not going to radiate any energy. And now the way how electrons will be present and how that he has given us, that is known as distribution of electron. He said that distribution of electron in the discrete orbits, distribution of electron in the discrete orbits will be as per the formula, that is 2n square. What is the formula? The distribution of electron in the discrete orbits or energy level will be as per the formula 2n square, and where n you can give the value 1, 2, 3, 4. Like if you want to find out that how many electrons are present in the first shell. This is the nucleus. This is the first shell, second shell, second energy level, third discrete orbit, fourth discrete orbit, and so on. If we want to find out capacity of each and every orbit, yeah, distribution of electron in the orbits, that can be done by the formula 2n square. The first will be represented by K shell, L shell, M shell, N shell. Now, if we want to find out that how many electron, what is the capacity of first orbit? What is the capacity of the first discrete orbit? What is the capacity of the first discrete orbit? Give the value 1 to the n. In the formula 2n square, give the value 1, right? For example, if I want to find out that what is the capacity of K. K is the first shell, so I will substitute the value 1 for n and I will find out the number of electrons. It will be 1 square, it will be 2. Just a moment, I will be back, right? So the number of electron which are present in the first shell is 2. Then we want to find out the capacity of L shell, that is the second shell. So in the formula, you are going to substitute the value 2. For n, you are going to substitute the value 2 and it will be 2 square means 4. 4 into 2, 8. So what is the capacity? It's 8 electron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 electron in the next shell. Then third, 2, 3 square. For n, we have to substitute the value of 3, right? For n, we have to substitute the value 3 so that I can get 3 2s are 3 3s are 9, 9 2s are 18. So what is the capacity? It's 18, right? I will now show 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. In this manner, the distribution of electrons will be around the nucleus. So first shell has the capacity of just 2 electrons. First shell cannot hold more than 2 electrons. Second shell will hold only 8 electrons, not more than that. Third shell will have 18 electrons, not more than that. This is the way electrons will be distributed around the nucleus. But one thing has to be kept for sure, that once they are present, once the electrons are present in the discrete orbit or the special orbit or their energy levels, they will not radiate any energy. But once they jump from one level to another, at that time they are going to radiate. I was asked, we were discussing about the electron distribution, right? The way how electrons are distributed in the shells, right? Now we are going to understand what is meant by valency. But before we discuss about the valency, let me make you aware with a particular term, like each and every student is associated with the name, each and every student is associated with the class. Like if I talk about Ansh Naran, there is a particular name, Ansh Naran, who is in class 9th A. This gives you the identity. In the same manner, all the elements known to us have particular identities. Like what are their identity? their identity is their name. Second, their identity is their atomic number. Now, what is this atomic number? Atomic number is associated on the basis of number of proton. The number of proton which are present in the nucleus of an atom is the atomic number of the element. For example, hydrogen. Hydrogen has atomic number 1 because it has the number of proton in hydrogen is 1. So its atomic number will be 1. In the same manner, the number of proton in helium is 2. So the atomic number will be 2. Then lithium, it's 3. Then the atomic number will be 3. Beryllium, it is 4. Boron, it's 5. So atomic number means the number of proton. In an atom, the number of proton, as per Rutherford, in an atom, the number of proton is always equal to number of electron. Although atomic number is associated with the number of proton, but let me tell you, as per Rutherford, number of proton is always equal to number of electron. In an atom, number of proton is always equal to number of electron. So the number of electron in hydrogen will be 1. The number of electron in helium will be 2. The number of electron in the helium will be 3. In the same manner, because for an atom, the number of proton is always equal to number of electron. Number of proton is always equal to number of electrons in an atom, right? In an atom, the number of proton is always equal to number of electron, and number of proton means what is it always? It's also associated with, it also provide an identity to element, that is, it give it the atomic number, right? Okay, so this is the way. Then now if we want to show that electronic distribution of these atom elements like hydrogen, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, then nitrogen, oxygen. Let me show you that. 1, 2, helium, sorry. Here it will be helium, 2, lithium, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now what should be their electronic distribution? K shell, L shell, M shell. This is also known as electron configuration 1. Here it will be 2. Here it will be 2 and 1, because as per 2n square rule, first shell has how much capacity? It has 2, the capacity to hold the electron. Here it will be 2 and 2. Here it will be 2 and 3. 2 and 3, right? Then 2 and 4. Then 2 and 5 and so on. This is their electronic distribution that we have done as per the 2n square rule. That we have done as per the 2n square rule.